If I were to ask you what a successful life looks like, would you say, Ari, it's doubling my money? Would you say, no, it's actually just making sure I don't pay any more in tax than I want to? Would you say it's making sure that my estate planning strategy makes sure that I don't leave any more than I need to heirs? I'm going to imagine it's none of those things. I'm going to imagine you're going to wish that you said, why didn't I retire 2 years earlier so I could have prioritized my health? Why didn't I retire 6 months earlier when I knew that my mom and I would only have so much more time together? Why didn't I XYZ? The problem is too many people focus on the former. They're just focusing on growing their portfolio for portfolio's sake. They're trying to save on taxes even if it means it's taking time away from what's actually most important to them. It's not me saying over here that I don't want to do those things. Okay, I'm a financial planner and I love optimizing my finances. In fact, I optimize for all of my clients, and the reality is my definition of optimization is different than most. My definition is you're getting the most out of your retirement, and what that really means is you're working because you want to keep working. You're not working because you have to. You don't look back on your life and go, I'm so glad my average return was 9.3264%. You say, I'm glad I retired earlier so I could spend more time with family, not worrying about tax legislation. Let me do that for my clients. I love doing it. But let me say this. I want you to know that when you're looking at your strategy, you should really start with the components of your plan that have nothing to do with money. Now, I know it sounds weird, but there's something known as the FIRE movement. I know a lot of you are familiar. It stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And I have my own definition, financial independence, recreational employment. Most people don't want to do nothing. They want to do something. They just want it to be fulfilling. So, like I said, for most people, the goal is not to maximize Social Security. The goal for most people is not to double their portfolio. All wonderful things that we're going to do, but that's not the goal. Here's your goal, and here's your homework. Not real homework, of course, but please do start thinking about these things. What do you want your life to look like in the following areas? Health, faith, family, friendships, travel. 5 very simple things. The reality is there's a whole lot more, but I don't want you to get in that analysis paralysis. There's so much to think about. Those are the 5 areas. And in those 5 areas, I want you to think about what would have to happen for those to be successful. Is it spending a certain amount of time giving to your church? Is it, instead of that, is it actually, no, Ari, I'm actually just spending more time with my family? Is it traveling and giving back? Is it a combination? We're doing medical missions or things like that. What would you actually look back and say, hey, that was successful? Because none of those have to do anything with money. Now, we use money so we can do those things, but most people start with the money, not the opposite. Take it a step further. Ask your spouse what success looks like to them. And it might be the exact same, but more often than not, a lot of you reach out and go, Ari, I kind of spearhead the financial relationship. My partner doesn't like thinking about money. And I say, great, most don't, but I bet they do want to think about it, just not in the traditional sense. They do want to talk to you about dream retirement plans. Are you going out to eat once a week? How often are you traveling? Is it quarterly? Is it domestic? Is it international? They want to talk about these things. They just don't want to talk about target date funds and 401ks and Roth conversions. And who can blame them? The reality is those are awesome things I nerd out over as a planner because I can use them to an unbelievable degree so you can retire earlier. But they don't want to talk about that, and nor should they. In fact, I only want you thinking about it because it can help your plan and it can optimize it. But the reality is I want you brainstorming with them more about what you're going to spend your time doing, less about tax strategy. So get really clear. Is it 2 family vacations a year? How much might that cost? Okay. But before even going to the cost, let me give you a pro tip. When you're speaking with your partner about finances, don't bring up the cost. Just say, hey, what does a dream life look like? And they say, Ari, it's 2 trips a year, 1 to Europe, 1 to South America. And on top of that, we want to do 3 trips domestically with our RV. Great. What else? Okay, well, I want to be able to give $5,000 every year to this foundation. Wonderful. What else? And you just keep them brainstorming high level. It's a powerful tip to communicate with them, as opposed to what most do, which is you need to make sure you put $20,000 away into this account. And if you don't put max to your 401k, we're not going to be able to do. That's where the stress comes in. And write down your health goals. Are you going to the gym 3 times a week? How often are you playing pickleball? I love playing soccer, but if I played soccer all the time, I'd be in agony and not fun to be around because I'd always be in pain. So I have to go to the gym. I have to do hot yoga. I have to do these things that I enjoy doing, but it's to serve a greater purpose. Now I want you to assign a dollar item to these things. Is it $50 every single week that we're giving? Is it $500 every week that we're doing for going out to eat? Really start to say, how much do I need so I can start to do the things I want to do? So everyone views this FIRE definition differently, but most people, it's I need to save and invest a certain percentage of my income. I don't believe in that, because if you make $1 million a year and you save 10%, awesome, that's $100,000. You might not need to save that. Now, if you want to save 10% of your income and your income's $50,000 a year, $5,000 is not going to put you that far ahead. The general principle with that FIRE movement is that you significantly cut expenses today, save and invest a whole bunch, so in the future, you can retire and do whatever you want to do. But what I find is even those people that have done that, and I've spoken to them, is they retire and now they're finding that they're actually not too fulfilled because they spent so much time and energy doing jobs they didn't love and burning out that they have health considerations. I even did an interview with someone that you can see right here who actually didn't subscribe to the full FIRE movement, but their health was absolutely compromised and they talked to me about it very transparently. So I invite you to listen to this if you haven't already seen it. I'm sure you've heard the stories of people. There's people that are on the I Will Teach You to Be Rich podcast. There's other podcasts that talk about how you can save and invest super aggressively. So in your 50s, you have $5 million plus. That's wonderful, but I'd rather you have $3 million and that you prioritize your health and got to take trips and spend time with family and friends all along the way because you are going to be okay no matter what. The reality is too many people save and invest a crazy degree in their 30s and 40s, and it hurts them in the long term. Not on paper. On paper, it can look just fine, but that's not the goal for most people. Now, you might be watching this video in your 50s and 60s. Most of you are that do listen to me. The reality is I want you to look back and go, I'm so glad I retired 3 years earlier because I see I am in a wonderful position. And I'm so glad, I wish I could tell more people an early retirement is achievable, but you have to run the finances to know if that's possible. And you can only run the finances once you know what you want to do. If you have a kind of cookie cutter, I think I kind of want to spend this and maybe I want to take these trips, then it's really not that helpful. And you're just going to keep working and you're going to look back and you're going to go, hey, I've got a ton of money, but why didn't I take the time to do these things today to better understand what I want to do? So there is certainly a dark side to the FIRE movement, but there's also a light. And the light is that I want you to start to find what job that you would find today that would create fulfillment. A lot of you are going, all right, I've done the same job for 20 years. It's got a healthy income. Why would I shift? I just couldn't bring in the same level of income. So I'll take this example. Let's assume that you make $200,000 a year and you do that for 10 years from age 50 to age 60. Awesome. You brought in $2 million. Would you rather do that at a very stressful role, stressful position, or would you rather say, I'm going to work a job that still pays me a healthy income, but I'm way less stressed? Let's say $125,000 a year, but you really enjoy it. Maybe you have less responsibility. You can focus on things you want to do, but you enjoy it. So you do it for 15 years instead of 10 years. Well, now all of a sudden you didn't bring in $2 million, but you did bring in $1.875 million. And over time you were so much happier. So yeah, there wasn't quite that same financial benefit year over year. You were making $75,000 less, but you actually worked longer, but you enjoyed it. And so that 15 years, you were able to prioritize things you wanted to do. You didn't work 10 years at a job that was super stressful. So now imagine it's not 200,000, but it was 400,000. And maybe there's a whole lot more responsibility because there's a whole lot more income. I don't want you working needlessly or unnecessarily just because you think you need to do so. Once again, keyword, unnecessarily. So hopefully this gives some insight as to the FIRE movement. There's not a right or wrong way of going about it, but what I don't want you to do is beat yourself up and save and invest to a crazy degree for this future arbitrary date. I really want you to be intentional, and it's actually harder than just investing. Investing and adding to your 401k and doing tax strategy, it's kind of the easier stuff. It's harder to get really clear on what you want to do and have an action plan designed to just help with that. More often than not, people just keep working and investing unnecessarily, and I don't want you to fall into that trap. I hope this video was helpful. If you are looking for a custom strategy, of course, you can reach out to me in the description below to optimize your money, or you, of course, can go ahead and reach out to any of us planners here at Root Financial Partners. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe if it was helpful, and share it with a friend that you want to retire early with. It's a whole lot more fun to retire early with friends. I'll give you 1 or 2 days where you can gloat in front of your neighbor about the fact that you retired before them, but then after that, make sure that they have a plan and they can retire early, because it's more fun, of course, traveling with someone. Thank you guys. See you in the next video.